It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Emmy. If you're watching, Emmy Crawford, what's up? I see you just followed on Facebook. Good morning, y'all. Oh, I was on time this morning. I'm so proud of me. I was on time. I was ready. There's a lot of news today. There's always a lot of news, right? That's not a surprise. But good morning as the streamers roll in. Good morning. I am gonna do better with I don't have the ability to chat with the folks on Facebook, but I'm gonna try to do better by glancing at it, perhaps on my phone or on another monitor moving forward. So what's up, Facebook people? If y'all think that I'm not responding, especially like shout out Kara McClure down south, Kara, former BVM fam. Good morning. Hey. So I'm gonna do better with trying to say what up and acknowledge the Facebook folks as much as I can. Y'all know I get wrapped up. But yeah, I wanted to hop into the news really quickly. Like I lined it all up. Hopefully we can get through it all in an hour or so, hour-ish. I know people got to go to work. But yeah. So the things that I want to talk about, I teased a little bit before I hit the live button. I teased a little bit. McMaster went off yesterday. Also, Charleston, we had a city council meeting last night, and while I did not watch it in its entirety, the biggest takeaway rather from last night's Charleston city council meeting was the amendments to the mask ordinance and also public comment. There were a couple public comments. 2 public comments and 1 person who was supposed to talk, but he didn't. I want to know if y'all can guess who it was. Did y'all hear a name that was familiar? Did you hear a name that was familiar? I don't know if you heard a name. I'm gonna give you a hint. I'm gonna give you a hint. That's not a hint. It's a real ass. Yeah, it was a name called last night. It says Bluffton man up here, but then we also know this white supremacist is in Somerville, but his name was on the I'm assuming it's him. I mean, he goes by, I call him KKK Corey. You might call him Corey Whittington. I've heard him be called Corey Allen Whittington. Aliases. A lot of thugs have aliases. So, but yeah, I heard that name. That was I didn't even let y'all guess. My bad. I didn't let y'all guess. But so basically last night it was 2 comments that I'm gonna play, and then let you hear that name and you tell me if I'm off, if that was KKK Corey or what. All right. We're gonna look at Harry Griffin's face when that name gets called and see if we can see anything. There's another familiar name that I'm gonna let that play out. So let's start off like we always do with the weather, locally sourced by our own Charleston Weather. Shout out to Jared Smith who runs this platform. Make sure you support Jared Smith in any way, shape, and form you can. Share Jared's content. I know he has a Patreon that I used to subscribe to. Just support local makers doing things that we really need, especially with what's predicted to be a very active hurricane season coming June 1st. So today's forecast is currently 56 degrees and lots of humidity. All right. Today increasing, looks like scattered showers. The sun is poking out right now. High 76, still a good day. I'm sure it's not going to be a wash. Hopefully what it will wash away is some of that pollen. Hopefully, right? All right. So that's one headline down. Now we're gonna move on to the news. This is the digital edition of Post and Courier. As you use Newsbank, if you're a Charleston County Public Library card holder, you're using Newsbank to get access to to your local paper. And in the morning edition, this is the headline in the morning digital edition is why should Democrats expect a different outcome. This is written by Jamie Lovegrove. They put a heavy hitter on Crystal Matthews news. We know we discussed yesterday morning, the previous day, Crystal Matthews announced that she was running for Senate. She will be running against another, juggernaut of an opponent, which is Tim Scott. I thought that the current term that Tim Scott was, this current term was going to be his last. I thought that's what people told me, but no, he's going to run one more again. And then 2024, he's going to try to run for president. So him and Nikki Haley going to have to figure that out before 2024. Probably going to have to figure that out before 2022. Who going to do what? If we scroll down a little bit, we see South Carolina Attorney General leads opposition to DC statehood in a letter. We always in somebody else's business. Okay, I'm interested to know why our Attorney General is. I'm sure there's something. Well, he's a South Carolina Attorney General. I don't know. We'll figure out why he's so invested in DC getting statehood. I have some feelings on that. I support whatever the people support. It used to be Chocolate City. I don't know if it's still Chocolate City. I don't know. They gentrifying DC like almost, just as fast as Charleston's gentrified, right? But I know one thing. I have folks on the ground there. I'm familiar with that area. I'm listening to what the people want. So when I say people, I'm talking about Black people. So anyway, South Carolina Attorney General, I know anything that dude here is advocating for, I'm probably not going to be feeling it too tough on the other side. So that's that. Let's hop over to the front page, the actual front page of the Post and Courier today, what you'll see. All right, what you'll see today, shout out. This is a familiar face, even though you can't see his face. This is Harold Singletary. Now, remember, we were just talking about how the Dems, I'm going to go ahead and blow this up, how the Dems never nominated anyone for agricultural commissioner. I always conflated too. I always kind of mess up the title. I say secretary, I say commissioner. Y'all keep me honest in the comment section. But basically, one of my sharpest criticisms of the South Carolina Democratic Party, we never put anyone up for the top spot of agricultural commissioner in 2018, right? And with these, what we saw when I relocated back to South Carolina around 2014, you started seeing those dominoes fall. Those dominoes fall around medical marijuana. You started seeing permits be issued for hemp cultivation and whatnot, and you knew it was just a matter of time before hemp, medical marijuana, and probably at some point recreational marijuana and other products will be grown in these states that have all this. God damn it, cotton is like y'all can't. Cotton is still king, as I was reminded this weekend. But god damn it, we gotta pivot at some point. And we know that big tobacco and them. We know they them folks is gonna get their hands on the medical marijuana and in the marijuana boom when it hits. But anyway, the front page does feature. I'm talking about it, not even showing you all the picture. The top page does feature Harold Singletary. He's a fixture around Charleston. I know I first came in contact with Harold through Low Country Local First. I believe he was on their board. At some point, I know his wife, Renee. I know, I call her Shaniqua. I know his wife well. I knew her well at some point. She's an amazing woman, amazing mother, and another familiar face on nonprofit boards here in Charleston. But here underneath the picture of Harold, we have it says Brightma Farms. Brightma Farms CEO Harold Singletary left with Brandon Hudson, director of cultivation in greenhouse, where in the greenhouse where they grow hemp. So that's interesting. I'm going to read this story. It's written by Adam Parker, because if it's a Black issue, they're going to send their best white reporter on there to cover Black issues, and that's Adam Parker. So local operation part of effort to seize opportunity, boost for Black farms. Well, let's keep reading this. We can hope for it, right? So below the fold, below that story, we have what was to me front page news yesterday. I know they wanted to put the whole story about muscles and the weirdest things in the middle of the page yesterday, but okay. So they gave Jamie Lovegrove a little time, because the first story that was published in the Post and Courier, that was in, I think, section A3, I think, when we clicked on it yesterday. so Crystal's announcement made the inside of the Post and Courier, and it was written by Thomas Novelli, but they put the heavy hitter on it for this front page story that's below the fold, of course. But despite odds, Dems optimistic about challenging Scott. There's a lot that can come out of this race, a lot of things that we could hope for. Yesterday, Crystal and her team also held a public event on the State House steps. This was something that I shared on social media on Instagram. So you saw the event being publicized. It was open to the public. She was encouraging all attendants to don a mask and whatnot. So I saw a quick clip of that on Instagram Live. I didn't watch the whole thing. I really couldn't hear that well, at least from that one perspective, but it was covered by a number of news outlets. All right, so that's good. Let me make sure I check everything. Sure I ain't getting any frantic messages. All right, cool. So yeah, I think we're going to visit some of this coverage of Crystal's race. We're going to visit that in some of the clips, but let me just go hop. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. So the Post and Courier, this is day 2. This week, this is the second consecutive day that they're covering the Slager appeal. Now, again, I took exception with how they framed this story. I still take exception for a former cop's fate is now up to judge. I just think that to me, it's an innocuous way to describe who Slager is, to frame who Slager is. But at least they, with the subcaption or subtext, at least they use his name. Slager makes bid to have sentence reduced. So this is another story, a follow up to Gregory. Gregory wrote this, but he also wrote a story yesterday. So we're following that. We have a clip queued up for that as well. So that's the front page, Post and Courier. Of course, vacation rentals. I'm not even getting that. VRBO, I'm sure. Airbnb, Folly Beach, Sullivan's Island, all of them. I know it's a hot mess. I'm not a homeowner in any of these areas yet. So I will be locked in on that at some point. Probably from the perspective of a consumer getting ready to rent and whatnot. Not yet as a homeowner, as a property owner, any place that's a desirable spot. But let's hop out of this news right here. All right. And like I said, so much to cover. I want to go local. I want to talk about McMaster. We got some clips there. I'm hitting up Live 5 News because I wanted to get that Slager story as reported locally. So I think we have it here. Nancy Mace also made headlines for, I guess she's getting not allegedly, I think she's actually stated that she was a COVID long hauler, so she's getting her vaccine, yada yada yada. Mixed messaging to me. Oh gosh, so where should I start? Should I start with the city council? Should I start? Let's start there. Yeah, exactly. Slager, thank you, Kia. Slager is not the victim. His fate. Is that right? Right? Dude is serving a sentence. Thank you, Kia, for chiming in the chat. Dude is serving a sentence for killing for civil rights violation. It's a mess. You know what? Let's just hop into that. Let's just hop into the local news. I'm gonna use WCBD's story here. Let's follow along here. Let me blow this up.
A former North Charleston police officer who killed an unarmed black man defended himself in.
That's how you say it. A former unarmed let me just run it back. And WLTX in Columbia did a good job yesterday as well with the framing.
A former North Charleston police officer who killed an unarmed black man defended himself in court today. Michael Slager is asking for his 20-year prison sentence to be thrown out, saying his lawyers were ineffective. News 2's Raymond Owens listened in to a virtual court proceeding today, and Raymond, Slager testified and he heard his speech. Saying his lawyers were ineffective.
I did, Sophia. He said a number of specific things, primarily the fact that his attorney, Andy Savage, told him that the judge in the case, Judge Norton, had said he did not believe this was a murder case. Now, Slager said Savage assured him he would not receive as much time in prison since the judge made that comment. So Slager said he agreed to sign the plea deal. Savage and his team were hoping for about 10 years. Slager ended up with 20 years after pleading guilty. Now, Slager testified he was not told about one specific plea deal offer that was being made by the government. He said Savage traveled to his prison to tell him in person that he had neglected to tell him about that offer. Now, during closing arguments, Judge Gergel, who's handling this hearing, stopped the defense attorney and said malice was found because a law enforcement officer was shooting an unarmed man in the back and then lied about it. He said Slager seeked to blame the victim in his trial and now seeks to blame the judge and his lawyer.
Yeah, I think that's a compelling argument right there.
Gergel said Slager is responsible for his own fate. He went on to say, quote, "I think calling Mr. Savage ineffective is ridiculous," end quote. Anthony Scott, the brother of Walter Scott, then spoke, saying on behalf of his family they do have empathy for Michael Slager, wanting to spend time with his son in his growing ages. That is something that was taken away from them when his brother was shot. Scott said he is, though, glad to see this process working out. Now, Judge Gergel said he will personally go over the records from this hearing over the last 2 days and then make his order for this case. No word on when that will happen. Live in downtown Charleston, I'm Raymond Owens. Count on 2.
Okay, so that's interesting. I'm glad that was a good sizable I guess encapsulation of what took place yesterday. I guess the appeal process is going to be like that. Like you're just going to grasp at any options you might have on the table. But dude needs to just relax. And like, it sounds like blaming a bunch of people. He had pretty decent legal representation, to say the least. I'm not too familiar. I know y'all are a little bit more familiar. Let's go right here to the amended City of Charleston amended mask ordinance here. You know what? Wait, we might hop around. Let me just see if we can. What I want to start doing too is being a little bit more. Well, if it's not a video, I don't want to. Yeah, we'll stick with what we know. It's just like I don't want to get too much like too set in my ways in terms of which clips I curate. I want you to see a myriad of news outlets, at least the ones that I feel do a great job and that aren't Sinclair stations, but sometimes we can't avoid it. But here we go. This is the mask ordinance.
New tonight out of Charleston, City Council no longer required to wear a mask when you're outside in the city. Council reviewed the restrictions during tonight's City Council meeting, and while masks are still required inside, there's no more fines for people caught not following the rules. The city approved the motion 10-3.
I mean, to me, I felt like the attempts to enforce this ordinance were anemic, and I want to just make this very clear. I don't think you should criminalize folks for not wearing masks and whatnot, right? I don't think that they should. I don't think that they should go to jail for behind all that, whatever, right? But hold on, I'm just trying to moderate the chat real quick. Just trying to moderate real quick. Let's do that. Boom. All right. But the arguments from City Council, which I'm not gonna play what they said, the arguments were interesting. I think even though I don't agree, I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I don't know, right? I don't think we're out of the woods yet. But I think that Brady did a good job explaining why he was going to vote in favor of lifting or amending the mask ordinance. Shealy did a good job. I don't agree, but I felt that Shealy used data, used MUSC metrics to frame his argument, and it was a sound argument. And then you had a garbage can of a person, Harry Griffin. That's why I used the Oscar the Grouch GIF in my Instagram stories. But the garbage can of a person, Harry Griffin, just does that whole thing that just that virulent emotional response that you don't expect from someone who's an elected official who's supposed to lead a district. Just a bunch of an emotional word salad wrapped in this new Trumpian Fox News type of anti-intellect, news and information and science. Like, at least Shealy pointed to science and looked at statistics and how things were trending, right? You at least want your city council person to do their due diligence and present an argument like an adult. And I thought that it was an effective argument, whether or not I feel we need to let up yet or not. So that was interesting.
The mask ordinance will stay in effect through May 13th.
Okay, so that's all I want y'all to hear. So the mask ordinance is still in effect. You don't have to wear it outside. To me, it was like the period of time where they really mandated that folks wear the mask outside. It felt like they just started it, and now it's over. So whatever. But you know, So they never really enforced it until the cameras came, till till Today's Show and CBS News came down here. They really didn't enforce it there. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. I'm gonna hop over. Let me bring it back out to statewide news. I gotta listen to this sound bite from McMaster. I'm not even gonna cue it up. I'm just gonna play it. Let's go.
A warning from the NCAA about states that pass controversial transgender bills. As things stand tonight, a bill banning trans athletes has been up for discussion at the State House. The measure would make it state law that only people born as female could play on a girls' middle or high school sports team. However, House lawmakers have rejected that bill. But that doesn't mean a similar measure won't be brought up or passed down the road. With that said, the governor was asked if he had any concerns about college events being taken away from South Carolina by the NCAA. This was his response.
No, it doesn't. I think the NCAA ought to mind their own business.
You need to mind your own business. You out there you south of the border and shit. You down there talking about this, that, and the third. You mind your own business. And I know people are gonna say, well, he was down there visiting our troops down there. Still need to. He knows good and well he didn't need to be down there. We got troops all over this state. We've got troops all over this state that or from this state doing all types of military duty, right? Like that get deployed to wherever. But you went down to the border because your other GOP brethren have gone down to the border to politicize asylum seekers and what's going on there and how the Biden administration is handling that. So stop it. You use that moment for optics. You use a national issue and you found your one intersection. You found your one way in. And that was, let me go down there and visit the troops. But you went down there to impugn the integrity of the Biden administration. Now, I'm not caping for the Biden administration, but I'm just trying to say, like, that's what was going on. Don't please don't try to slick a can of oil, McMaster.
If they want to pass laws, they need to run for office.
He sounds so dumb. The NCAA needs to run for office. Let me rewind it. Sound like a petulant teenager.
Response.
No, it doesn't. I think the NCAA ought to mind their own business.
Mom, get out my room, Mom. I'm 16.
If they want to pass laws, they need to run for office.
Get out my room, Deborah. You're not my real mom. You're my stepmom.
Well, the NCAA released a statement recently on transgender participation, saying in part their expectation is that all student athletes will be treated with dignity and respect. They added that their policy says that only locations where hosts can commit to providing an environment that is safe, healthy, and free of discrimination should be selected. They concluded by saying they're committed to ensuring championships are open for all who earn the right to compete. Now, in the past, South Carolina has hosted several NCAA events, including March Madness and college baseball.
That's what he really cares about. Like, seriously, if that tourney was up in here, or they're about to do it again in the next year or so, I'm sure he wouldn't be talking so crazy on that mic.
Fall regionals. Most recently, the women's SEC basketball tournament took place last month in the upstate. As of tonight, the NCAA says they are monitoring the situation and has not made any final decisions about the future of any NCAA tournament or championship.
All right, I wanted to get that out the way. So that was something, because that's something I alluded to or previewed this morning before I hit go. I wanted to see if there was anything else regarding, we know about the discussion around the J&J vaccine. You see me scrolling, so there were a number of doctors. I guess there's some doctors in South Carolina. Wait, hold up. This is a black man talking. Hold up. Whoa.
And since it was approved months after the Pfizer and Moderna
hold on, I saw a black man, so let me see.
Vaccines, Johnson & Johnson makes up only a small percentage of the shots that have been given out. Here in South Carolina, there have been more than 1,500,000 total doses of 3 different vaccines. 80,000 of those doses were the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. That amounts to about 5.25% of all shots. The majority of doses have been the Pfizer vaccine at 56%. 38% of those doses have been the Moderna vaccine.
Whether you've gotten the Johnson.
Okay, sorry, I thought I was going to see somebody, but yeah, we know that they've halted the J&J vaccine. Oh, this is what I saw right here. Let me see what this is.
Kevin Miller received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
I thought it was a doctor. All right, sorry, Kev. All right, so we're going to bounce out of that clip real quick. Let's see. We did want to get, I wanted to get to, again, a follow-up to the Crystal Matthews announcement, Senate run announcement. I really enjoyed yesterday. I really liked watching the ads yesterday. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do more of that. I liked it. I don't know if y'all liked it, but I loved watching, especially Mika Isaac Divine's ad, which was exceptional. I thought Crystal's ad, for it being a single shot and her first impression, I thought it was a good ad. The production value was sound. She looked great as usual. So I think we're going to keep watching ads, and kind of comparing it and having that conversation about how when women run for office. I love the fact that Evelyn brought that up yesterday and that you all were chiming in. I went back last night and reread certain parts of the chat where, why do women have to be like, do it all? But then again, like what I was thinking about last night in the Mika Isaac Divine ad, yes, she has to look like a woman that has to balance everything, right? Like, kids, job, running for office, a wife, maybe homeowner, all of that, right? Maybe in school, maybe just getting her master's or whatever. But I also think it's so familiar to me as a Black woman. My late sister and my mother were both some of the most hardest working women I've ever met and encountered. And while my late sister was not a mother, I don't know, I've just always been in close proximity to Black women who've had to do that. So I think when you add that layer of African American identity on top of that, a lot of Black women can relate to, look, I got to get the kids right. I might be on the PTA. I like the line dance on the weekends. Like, just Black women specifically, I think that really resonates with them when they see that. When they see that mom loading the kids up in the van with her cup of coffee, getting to work on time. And I think a lot of moms can relate, but I'm speaking from the perspective of a black woman born to a very hardworking black woman, born from whatever. Okay, here we go. So let's follow up. This is ABC Columbia. They were present, I guess, to get a little video. I have not watched this, so we're gonna just hit play. And ads.
Also, the State House, a state lawmaker, launched her bid to unseat Republican U.S. Senator Tim Scott. Crystal Matthews held a campaign kickoff event this morning. She says she plans to register 150,000 new voters across the Palmetto State to tighten the margin between Democrats and Republicans.
We need someone who understands balance. To get that done, we need someone bold. I will be that bold, fearless leader for you. I will be one tough mother.
Senator Scott has said his 2022 re-election run would be his last Senate race. So far, Matthews is the only Democrat to enter the race.
Okay, so yeah, that was yesterday's event. Like I said, I'm going to continue to. Is that it? Let me see.
Well, when asked for comment,
Okay.
South Carolina Republican Chairman Drew McKissick tells ABC Columbia, quote, "We appreciate Representative Matthews' willingness to work with Republicans by making it easier for us to pick up another state House seat."
Wow. So this is the thing. This is the thing about the Republican. Not really. Okay, so there's certain aspects. There's certain Republican women leaders within the party that I've encountered that especially the women, they were diplomatic, they were gracious. They had their views, but and this is pre-Trump. The majority of the Republican women leaders, I'm talking about like local leaders, like they might organize within their communities, they might run clubs, things like that. I'm thinking about the time where I used to work for the Center for Women as an interim program director, and we had to create a lot of bipartisan events, or nonpartisan events rather. And every time I would reach out to Republicans, you know, to have balance, like, so if I invited Mary Garren, I had to invite Nancy Mace, right? So as I would reach out to certain people in clubs, you know, I'd encounter, I was very surprised. This is pre-Trump now. I was very surprised. I was very surprised by how gracious and accommodating and reasonable folks were, because that was not my experience with the men from the Republican Party in this state. And so now I'm really like, first of all, we're gonna break this the fuck down, because there's a lot of bullshit here. In this one sense, I had such a quick reaction, and I'm looking at the chat. Shout out D, right? It's serious snark and shade for sure. I think not respecting Crystal. See, off the bat, they're being very dismissive. It's one thing to be dismissive a little bit, right? But to not acknowledge Crystal at this moment, so they're really into that partisan divide bullshit. And we're gonna pick up on some anti-blackness. Let me let it rock. Let me not talk over it so much. Let me let it rock.
To work with Republicans by making it easier for us to pick up another state House seat and keep the U.S. Senate race in 2022.
So she beat your Republican opponents 2 times. She beat y'all 2 times. So you're not respecting that at all. And it was a historic win. First black woman to win District 117. And see, this is the problem. And what they're not seeing too is not just about the Tim Scott. Okay, Tim Scott beats Crystal. Boom, book closed. You know, chapter closed. There's so much that this race is possible. There's so much within this race. So much wrapped up in this race. so much you can really get out of this run. That's why, like, when folks ask me, Mika, when you gonna run? If I do run, I will run seriously. If I do run for whatever office, I will run seriously. I will run with intention. But I will be running an insurgency campaign, right? Because it's important to highlight or to daylight, in some instances, issues that don't necessarily make it to the top of the news cycle, right? There are a lot of issues that folks don't spend a lot of time on. There are people that I feel folks should hear from. You know, there's a lens through which I'm going to view a lot of the issues here locally, and I want that perspective to be seen and heard, right? I want that perspective I know I'm saying perspective can be heard, but I want those views to be heard, and I want that perspective to be seen, right? And so I think even Crystal's campaign can have insurgency type elements to it, where you're speaking to issues. Now, she can't alienate other voters because she's got a tough road ahead of her, right? We just don't have the voters here. We don't have in South Carolina, we don't have this vast pool. This is what Jamie Harrison made me scratch my head, right? And I think Jamie knew he was going to lose. He just didn't think he was going to lose that by that much. That's the part that y'all don't know when candidates run serious campaigns and they know they're going to lose, right? So they have another motive for running. A lot of it is capacity building and fundraising, and some of it is infrastructure building as well, right? So I would guess that Jamie Harrison knew he was going to lose, didn't know he was going to get mollywopped, right? But within that campaign, he was able to set up infrastructure. Crystal Matthews, I'm going a little bit off on a tangent, but Crystal Matthews' campaign can also be that thing that builds out a lot of infrastructure, because the bodies are just not, like, it's not, what I was going to say was, like, there's not this pool of moderates that are just like, I don't know. It's a thin line between red and blue. It's not. It really isn't. You either here, you there. Gang here, gang there. It's not this bastion of moderate voters who are just like, I don't know, what's it gonna be? So given that, you have to build out infrastructure. You have to start priming the field, priming your voter base, looking at the trends and not just age, but looking at the trends in terms of migration, looking at who these industries are wooing and bringing here. How are you engaging those prospective voters that are relocating here from different areas? How are you reaching out to the voters like myself who participated in a reverse migration, African American voters? How are you really reaching out to that Latinx population that's not necessarily just because they brown Come on now. Just because they brown doesn't mean that they vote Democrat. How are you reaching out to those people who are here from, let's say, post Maria, post Hurricane Maria, post whatever, whatever it is. It's not just always calamity and something bad bringing folks to the area, right? And so like, how do you meet those voters? How do you connect to these communities and build out your voter base that way, right? Because there is tremendous growth here in the state, especially given the manufacturing that we've wooed here. So I think that's the challenge as well. But Crystal's campaign can really be the beginning of building out that infrastructure, right? So like with Stacey Abrams, she didn't win, but what came of that? During her run for governor of Georgia and after, she was continuously building these voter mobilization tools that work toward electoral justice and in ballot access, right? She made voter suppression a signature issue, right? And so then we saw that pay dividends in subsequent races during the presidential race, right? When now you have 2 Democratic senators representing the state of Georgia. That's because there was so much groundwork there, and that's something that Crystal's campaign can be organized to create. So I'm not saying Crystal should just like, yo, you about to lose, so you just might as well. Nah, I'm not saying that. I think she should run her heart out. I think she should run through the tape, so to speak, to use a track and field metaphor. I think she should run as hard as she can and run through the tape. But while she's running, this is why she needs to have the right kind of team in place. She needs to start creating that infrastructure. If you're going to talk to these newly enfranchised voters, if you're going to start making appeals to certain subsets of South Carolinians, you have to figure out a savvy strategy on how to do that. Make it less of, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me check the chat. Oh, please run. Y'all want me to run so I can stop talking? Stop it. Yeah. Okay, I'm listening. I know I keep stopping this clip, but I mean, she's reading it. I'll play it just in case people just can't read it. But yeah. You said they don't have a strategy. Who you mean? You think who run Jazz? Who runs with no strategy? Because I agree with you in some places. Why does it seem like GA was able to build infrastructure during election season aside from Stacey Abrams? Georgia got Georgia and North Carolina, they got state tables. So a state table is a group of organizations. Like you got your NAACPs, you got your you got a bunch of you got a bunch of organizations in Georgia. You got a gang of Black Voters Matter organizations, right? In North Carolina, you've got so many grassroots organizations either working toward electoral justice or they form like Voltron, and so they'll get with immigrant advocacy groups. They'll get with bail reform groups, and they'll all build out coalitions, and they'll galvanize they'll work together to to get people registered, to get people to the polls, to get people numbers. The voter help hotline. They'll I've seen that firsthand. So both North Carolina and Georgia have tremendous infrastructure that exists outside of voter rights, voter registration, and so they benefit largely from those organizers who do that work 365. So that's why the gains in Georgia and North Carolina look different. And North Carolina's poised North Carolina, you can argue, is purple now, and is poised to flip because of what's going on the ground in North Carolina, right? So that's the thing we have to kind of keep in mind when these people run, especially when it's a long shot. The win is a win. Don't get me wrong. If Crystal Matthews beats Tim Scott, holy fucking hell, right? But also there are other wins that are transformative, that are so impactful, that can create long lasting change here in terms of who has access to the ballot. And I think not just this is where I get a little critical early on. And again, this is not a critique of the person. This is a critique of the team. And I'm going to critique teams like a motherfucker. I'm just be real with y'all. Anybody, even if I love you, even if I love you like cook food, I'm still going to critique your team. And my critique of the team is don't come out the gate with some vague voter registration goal, right? Come out the gate with an issue that's a little bit more nuanced that speaks to voter suppression. This is a Section 5 state. Crystal, you're peers with Gilda Cobb Hunter. Y'all, I played you that old mixtape from 2012, 2013 of Gilda making this a watershed issue. Y'all seen Gilda come and be the keynote speaker at my Women's March talking about ballot access, right? Shout out to y'all. Shout out to subs and shout out to the followers, right? So y'all seen that, right? Y'all seen me mention Gilda Cobb. Gilda's also working with the South Carolina Progressive Club, whatever it's called. Progressive. I don't really mess with Brett like that. But my point is the work that they're doing there is around voter mobilization, right? And so you've got that resource there, and it got to be some brainstorming. And I'm sure the Black Caucus was brainstorming. I'm not gonna assume too much here, and I'm not gonna assume like I speak to Crystal every day. I'm not making that assumption. But what I'm trying to say is that come out the gate with something a little bit more nuanced than voter registration. Come out the gate talking about how you're going to restore voting rights to the disenfranchised. Talk about the communities that are neglected and who don't get to participate in their democracy. Make that a keystone. Make that a key or signature issue, right? So that's what one of my critiques would be. And you have to talk about this state being a Section 5 state. What happened in 2013? What happened a few years before you ran for office, Crystal? What happened? What did you see? What did we see in our state? So what did your conversations with the OGs that are your peers, what were those conversations like? What did they say about the landscape and about how they can really start to build power as Democrats in the state? Because I'm sure the Black Caucus was talking about that, right? They were talking about how to build power. I hope the Greek freak in them is talking about how to build power and not just, these little treating everything as a one-off, right? Okay, we're gonna get the transgender thing. We're gonna get the hate crime. Hopefully they're talking about building power, right? Over the long run, right? Let me look at y'all's wow, y'all, Jazz and Kia, I can't. Y'all are lighting it up. I love it. Keep doing it though. Yeah, come on. Okay, so you give me thumbs up on ballot access. Come on. Thank you, Jazz. You my hype girl. You and Kia is the worst. No, and don't. I see y'all about to link up. No, y'all ain't ready for that collab. Y'all ain't ready, right? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And Jazz, you said that you're creating space. Yeah. You got to create it. It's not here. Certain things are just not here. And Jazz, you know this because you worked with Black Voters Matter before me. So you know how hard it was to how hard it is to build out not just events, but build out movement work that's cohesive and that continues on. That's not just event based, right? It's very hard to do that here. And that's because we just don't have the infrastructure. Now, y'all know this. I don't want to just say we don't have the infrastructure, like plain period stop. It's that this is how our white supremacist oppressive culture works in this state. They do Jim Crow real good here. They still doing Jim Crow real good here. And that's the thing that people getting all up in arms about Jim Crow being used as a phrase, Lindsey Graham. But no. They do Jim Crow real good here. Your schools is still segregated. Your kids' buses is still dilapidated. Okay, they're dilapidated. Like, they do Jim Crow real good here still. And what I'm saying is that they frayed that infrastructure so well. And so, but that thing is still here. That network is still here. That blueprint is here. Whether or not they want to talk about Septima Clark, whether or not they want to talk about Harvey Gantt, whether or not they want to talk about the rebellion led by Denmark Vesey, we know that rebellion, we know that resistance was here. We know that folks participated in resistant bondage at every turn. So we know that. And I say I'm using that, it's usually used in terms of the enslavement of Africans, but I'm talking about the bondage that is Jim Crow as well. So during apartheid here, during my mom and dad's formative years, but I'll talk about my dad who's from this area, during my dad's formative years, being born into apartheid, we know that there were networks of churches, networks of midwives, networks of educators, teachers, Black teachers, all coming together to organize around all kinds of issues, not just the issues within their industries, wherever they worked. And so we know that existed here. We have to just help folks make contact with that history, with that tradition, and then build out there. That's where we're at with it. So what Georgia enjoys and what Georgia enjoys and what North Carolina enjoys in terms of having state tables, having a cohesive grassroots leadership network in place, what they enjoy, we could enjoy here if we start making contact with that history. But they do Jim Crow real good in this state, y'all. They do it real good, real good. All right, let me just play this real quick. I'm running out the clock.
Regardless of what office they're running for, anytime a Democrat has to talk about where they land on the issues, it's a good thing for Republicans.
Yeah, that's weird. That's snarky and dismissive. So yesterday we talked about trash ass Trav's comment about telling them the candidates run shitty campaigns, and you got, so these are two leaders of the. And then, so that goofy guy is running up against him. Is that what we're doing? So the goofy guy from Georgia is trying to get this dude out. Lord help the GOP. Lord help the GOP. Because if that's their front runners, is the goofy dude who is guilty of election fraud or voting fraud. If that's your one, if that's they one, then they up for one. All right, we're gonna do city council, but let's stay in politics real quick. Well, all of it's politics, but let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Live 5 News. Why'd I have it queued up? Oh, we already watched it. We watched it on another channel. Let's just let's look at Nancy real quick. Let's see what Nancy's up to. So yeah, she got her shot. Y'all, this is the big issue with her. Hold on one second. Why is it not playing?
When it comes to your roof, you want to...
Jesus Christ. RIP earbuds. RIP eardrums. All right, after this ad plays, I'll unmute it. But this is a big thing. This is a big part of her political identity is her bout with COVID. This makes her come off as reasonable, so to speak.
Leave at Trident Tech this morning to get the Moderna vaccine. She says after battling a bad case of COVID last summer, she believes she's still not 100%, even saying she hasn't been able to get back to her workout routine.
I had chronic fatigue. I had, I lost my sense of taste. I had chest pain. I had swelling throughout my ankles and my legs, even after I got out of quarantine. And it took me a solid 3 months to actually.
She really plays up like victimhood, and I know that doesn't sound like I'm not trying to be ableist, but she really plays up. Hey, I'm embattled. Hey, I'm getting it from all sides, right? Jessica, what you say? Live from Nancy Mason's painting couch, right? Exactly. The damsel in distress. And I don't know, this is what I think a lot of white women subscribe to in general, in terms of whiteness and that violent whiteness, that violent white feminism. But specifically in politics, they try to hold both. I'm a genteel little flower, and oh my goodness, I'm scared, I'm genteel, but and I'm a victim. But then they want to come out hard and heavy, about some other issues, especially when dealing with black and brown issues. But she plays both sides pretty poorly.
I feel recovered because of the chronic fatigue that I suffered from. And it's not anything that I ever want to go through.
I like that y'all use emojis. D.
Again, it's not something I wish upon anyone.
Shortly after getting the vaccine, the Congresswoman tweeted, "Nobody tell Fauci, but I will start shaking hands and eating indoors again."
See, both sides. Like, what is she doing? Like, why are we still treating Fauci like a pinata? Chick, you got your shot. Move on. She's so anti-science. She can't shake her anti-science for nothing. She was anti-science way back when she was denying climate change and shit. So let them beachfront landowners hear you talk real greasy about that climate change shit. Cause that sea rise is here, boo.
Might even go back to licking doorknobs.
She's like this is the member of Congress, y'all. This is a member of Congress saying she going, like, I know it's a joke, but it's not funny. So think about all the people who've lost loved ones, and not just old elderly brown and black people. Think about that 40-year-old cop that you saw that lost their life to COVID. Think about that 30-year-old mom or that 6-year-old kid that lost their lives to COVID, right? Think about that. Think about those kids who have heart disease because of some COVID, or a young reporter I read, younger than me, that has COVID onset glaucoma. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not a laughing matter. Like, she could have just said, I got my vaccine, whatever, back to business. She could have said anything. But see, the making fun of the science, for me, is so problematic. And she doesn't have the maturity to be in office. She never has. So the next time the Post and Courier fix themselves up, just to keep the access to Nancy Mace going and flowing, next time the Post and Courier wants to create a fucking narrative that this is some beautifully strong, resilient woman, mother, fighter, warrior, princess bullshit, make sure y'all bring up these fucking receipts. Cause she got receipts on Twitter for fucking years. And she got hella tape on YouTube of her acting a fucking fool, acting a donkey. God damn it, she get on my nerve. I can't believe, damn it, Joe, you couldn't beat her? I call Joe Cunningham mediocre all the time, but I think my biggest criticism of him is you couldn't beat this chick. You better use some of that sex appeal that you all out there flaunting. You better use it. Shit. You know what you doing. Men do it too, y'all. All right. You bet. I don't know how you didn't beat her. All right, let's do this, Lindsey Graham. Then we're gonna get to the city council. I swear. So this caught me. This is in a Daily Beast. Let me hit refresh real quick. This is in a Daily Beast. I think yesterday or this morning. Let me see. Yesterday. So of course, Mr. Hyperbolic ass Lindsey Graham got something to say. So Biden is paving the way for another 9/11. So again, come on with the histrionics. Let's see if there's an ad.
Joe Biden's become an incredibly destabilizing American president. He took a border that...
Hold the fuck up. Hold up. Who's a destabilizing president? Who?
That was pretty calm and turned it into chaos. The Mideast had been transformed.
Hold up. Who went to war in the first place? Okay, so I was in undergrad. I went to undergrad. I graduated high school, St. Andrews Rocks, class of 99. So I went to college in Jersey City. So that's 5 minutes like from the Hudson Tunnel, like 5-10 minutes from the Hudson Tunnel. So that means I'm right there in New York, can see the skyline from my campus, right across the Hudson River. Who was president during 9/11? How did we get there?
Joe Biden's become an incredibly destabilizing.
Not how did we get to 9/11, but how did we get to our presence, this forever war that we're in? Not 9/11. No conspiracies over here, y'all.
American president. He took a border that was pretty calm and turned it into chaos. The Mideast had been transformed on Trump's watch, where the
okay, for clarity, he's saying that he took the
Arabs were working with the Israelis and had Iran in a box. He's taken Iran and let them out of the box. They're talking about enriching uranium at 60% now.
I was somewhat of a rival, Kia. Somewhat of a rival, because my ass couldn't. Yeah, we definitely were rival schools for sure.
Now, which is a direct threat to the existence of the state of Israel. The Russians are challenging him in the Ukraine, and now he is withdrawing forces in Afghanistan against sound military advice. To all of you who are listening, you remember where you're at on September 11th, 2001. Our military told President Biden that if you withdraw all of our forces, Al-Qaeda and ISIS will come roaring back.
Boo, they done remix so many times. Boo.
Afghanistan would disintegrate into civil war, and we can avoid all of that by having 3,000 to 5,000 American forces making sure that ISIS.
The funny thing is, I'm not even gonna let this rock out because I don't want to listen to lies for the last 10 minutes of me being on. What really kills me that you worried about another 9/11. Hello, we've lost more people to COVID since the pandemic. You weren't worried about that 9/11, right? You weren't, and I'm not comparing atrocities for effect. I'm just saying we get it. We have mass shootings every day. You don't try to stop that 9/11. How many 9/11s have we had in terms of mass shootings since that happened? How many 9/11s have we had via mass shootings? White supremacist terror, right? So you can go somewhere with that. That's bullshit. And yeah, he's a war hawk, so you know this is also a way of fighting for more spending with the military. We spend so much money on our military. That's all that it really is another way to say, hey, we need to spend more money on the military. That's all that is. It's really sad. All right. Let me, we don't need to watch the rest of that. That's just crap. Shout out to subscribers, y'all. So I really appreciate the support. I really do. And there is a donation. Jared, there is a donation button as well. If you go to the about, if you're watching on like your PC, or even like after I finish, you can go to the about page, I believe, and you'll see a donate button. And you can donate to, like, make a one-time donation via PayPal, I believe. So that's there. I really appreciate the support. We got some goals. Jared and I sat down. We did some planning, y'all. Some planning yesterday. So we've got some real goals coming up in terms of tech, in terms of being out in the public, doing things in person. A lot of things going on. So all the support really does help. I swear it does. And I don't take it for granted. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the clicks and likes. And also the chat. Y'all don't understand. When y'all chat like this, it's important. So thank you, Kia. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jazz. Let's hop real quick. Let's get to it. So this is last night's city council meeting. Again, to me, the key takeaways from last night's Charleston City Council meeting was the amendments to the mask ordinance. We already played the news clips from that and read the paper about that, and public comment. So I already told you that I was just surprised that I heard a name. I heard a name of a thug, of an insurrectionist thug. Because he doesn't live in Charleston, to my knowledge. I think he's over there with Meemaw and them. But yeah, I heard a familiar name during the comments, but I don't know. But let's play it.
Ms. Jenkins.
If you could press *6 to unmute yourself.
I don't think Ms. Jenkins. Let me see.
Yes.
Let me see if I can get.
At any rate, I've tried to reach out.
Try to scooch up to, I think it's minute.
But we can't contract our landscapers to work on Sunday, so we really need another day.
This is part of the process, though. I do like hearing when people call about mundane things. I know it's not the fun things to share on, but it's fun. It's really good to hear people engage the city council about neighborhood issues.
Thank you, Ms. Haney.
Next is Corey Allen. If you're on the line, if you could press *6.
Look at
Corey Allen.
Let's watch Harry's face. Because I think that's his Corey, his friend, his little backstabbing friend.
Mr. Allen?
Next is James Bessinger. If you're on the line.
Now, I know Tyler Bessinger. Is that the same? Can y'all tell me is Tyler James? Because they like aliases, right? So this is LGBTQ Confederate flag Tyler, right? Is that him? Somebody confirm if Tyler and James are one and the same. And he also their names being back to back. That's that. I think that's the same person, right? Their names being back to back made me think that's the same person. Thank you, D. Thank you.
If you could press.
I can't keep my white supremacist straight for the life of me.
*6, James Bessinger.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
We can.
Hello, council. Thank you so much for taking my call.
He's excited. Yeah.
Spoke with you last month, and I just wanted to go over a few things that you said in the last council meeting. Starting with you, Mr. Appel. You said last month, and I quote, "There's never been a shutdown in South Carolina." That's a blatant lie.
I don't. Everyone asks me, is it Bessinger's barbecue? I don't know. I'm gonna stop pausing it, but I often ask that. I don't fuck with Bessinger's, but Maurice's or Bessinger's, I don't fuck with them because of all that bullshit from back in the day. But yeah, listen to this dude. I get nervous when I call too sometimes, and I can speak very fast sometimes and say a whole lot of nothing. But this don't make no fucking sense. I'm gonna let y'all hear this.
You voted for it yourself. Carl Brady, you talked about not wanting to lift the mandate because you wanted to make sure that the light at the end of the tunnel wasn't a train. Then just a few days ago, you're photographed out with Shaylee and Harry Griffin without a mask, shoulder to shoulder. Did the train pass by, or what the hell, man?
Did you see Ross's face? Ross, don't make me like you. Ross, no, we're gonna still bring that smoke to Ross. Don't make me like you, Ross. Did you see Ross's face? Let me bring it back like a second.
Mr. Allen?
Okay, I'm gonna stop it. But look at Ross and look
Next
at Harry.
is James Bessinger. If you're on the line, if you could press *6, James Bessinger.
Ross and Harry.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
We
sir.
can.
Hello, counsel. Thank you so much for taking my call. We spoke with you last month, and I just wanted to go over a few things that you said in the last council meeting. Starting with you, Mr. Appel. You said last month, and I quote, "There's never been a shutdown in South Carolina." That's a blatant lie. You voted for it yourself. Carl Brady, you talked about not wanting to lift the mandate because you wanted to make sure that the light at the end of the tunnel wasn't a train. Then just a few days ago, you're photographed out with Shaylee and Harry Griffin without a mask, shoulder to shoulder. Did the train pass by, or what the hell, man? Mayor Tecklenburg, just yesterday, you're down at Colonial Lake. You're photo opping and posing for pictures and tooting fruiting with no mask on, right next to all these people.
Tooting and fruiting. And look, I'm gonna let y'all know, real talk, I'm not a hard ass for people outside if they're socially distanced without a mask. I'm not a hard ass in general. Like, I ain't policing nobody. But I ain't no hard ass if you out Colonial Lake. Like, find some real shit to talk about, motherfuckers.
When you got me scheduled next this summer.
Out of all the shit you could get the mayor on, that's some shit. You look at Shaheed real quick. I had to pause it. He's like, can this be over? This guy real FML energy right here. This guy real FML Shaheed.
In June for a jury trial for not wearing a mask out in public, and he sent Captain Bruder to my house to deliver the damn ticket. So either you're hypocrites or you're full of shit. I just want to know which one it is. Please let me know. Thank you.
That's the group y'all keep giving permits to. That's who you let get on the Custom House steps and have an anti-ordinance or rally. This is who y'all keep permitting. This is who you keep letting come to your city and shit all over your city and shit all over. Like, there's one thing to have spirited discourse and civic engagement that might be a little rough. It's another thing to have these thugs who participated in the insurrection constantly they don't even live here. They don't even live here. And they know they couldn't pull this shit in Somerville. They know they couldn't. Because they little dogs. They're like little chihuahuas yipping at people. They're little dogs. They would get they fucking shit pushed in if they fucking tried this shit somewhere else. Period. They don't even fucking live here. Like, come on. But this is who y'all keep giving permits to.
And that was all that we received. We did receive some comments.
Sorry, this is Rita Kazurskas. I signed up to speak also.
My girl Rita. This the last one. My girl Rita.
Okay. We didn't have you on the list, but
That's okay.
May I?
Miss Rita, please.
2 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Great, thank you. Good evening. A show of hands, please, because I like to do this. How many of you saw people attack the United States Capitol in January using flagpoles as weapons? I can't see you, but I'm hoping that it's all of you. Remember the incident last summer at the Battery when the guy broke his flagpole over a young man's back? Did you know that the attacker continued to charge the young man after beating him over his back and only stopped because somebody else knocked him down before he could continue to hurt him? If the young man had been beaten so badly he ended up in a coma, would you have decided by now to find a way to reduce the risk of injury and anything like it happening again? Just this Sunday at the Battery at Charleston's own live weekly celebration of white supremacists, church bombers, lynchers, and lost cause segregationists, we watched one of the Klan nearly get into a fist fight with an elderly tourist. He started shouting and waving his arms for a few minutes, and he went up to the elderly tourist and started bumping his chest into him.
Receipts.
It wasn't the police presence, but our frantic shouting for the police that finally de-escalated the situation. The police were sitting in their vehicles a block away and had no idea anything was even going on. Would it take a tourist actually suffering a cracked skull for you to decide to find a way to improve safety?
Come on.
What if it was somebody you knew who got hurt? What if it was your wife or your child or even your Nana? The simple presence of a police officer tends to keep any trouble from happening. Had the police been standing near protesters instead of a block and a half away sitting in their vehicles, it's quite possible that none of these incidents would have escalated to the points they did. I'm hopeful that the police who are paid to work at the Battery every weekend decide to exit their vehicles and be present nearest to the obvious highest risk areas to help reduce the potential of harm to all citizens versus waiting for somebody to get hurt and then punishing the bad guy. Other cities have taken action to reduce the risk of injury to people while continuing to allow everyone to exercise their First Amendment rights. We are looking for you to do the same. Thank you.
That's how you public comment. That's how you do it. She on some Gary Chambers shit. Well, you know what I mean? White girl get down. She getting down. That's what's up. That's to me, those were the biggest takeaways. If y'all watched the whole 3 hour and 20 minute and 46 second live stream, and I definitely ain't cover it all. Well, let me know if there were more takeaways. I know, Harry Griffin goes on to comment when they start to vote about the amendment. His comments were bullshit. His comments before and after were just really nutty. But so that's another takeaway. But I invite you to go and watch, but I invite you also to for the next meeting, make sure you submit comment. If there's an issue, if you take a look at the agenda beforehand, if you watch this city council meeting and had some things you want to talk about, I encourage you all to please participate in your democracy, participate in your local government. Don't be letting KKK Corey and Tyler Bessinger. I got to come up with a nickname for Tyler Bessinger. Don't be letting him. They don't even live here. They don't even go here. Don't be letting them run roughshod all over you. We got to start speaking up and representing the people who actually, and if you don't live in Charleston proper, that's, I get it, right? But like for people who really do give a fuck, who care about Charleston, KKK Corey doesn't care about Charleston. He cares about white supremacist power. He cares about white men having power, having power and domination over marginalized communities. Harry Griffin doesn't care about power. Doesn't care about his constituency. He didn't care about his nana. I think that's why Rita said it. Real quick, I found out that 3 days ago, I didn't cover this, but the guy that was that last remaining surviving victim of that shooting that happened in Rock Hill, I didn't know he died. So 3 days ago he died, and I thought that was sad. I didn't follow it till this morning. That was sad news as well. I'm purposely not covering a lot of the violent stuff. I just can't do that. But there's enough violence from Lindsey Graham and Nancy Mace and Harry Griffin and those of that ilk. So so anyway, that's it. Let me get off. I got a dentist appointment to get to. Y'all take care. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you to everyone who's a new subscriber, new follower, all of that. I really appreciate it. This thing's gonna keep rocking. Shout out to my DJ Jared. Shout out to Little Stranger and John Shields. I really appreciate y'all so much. See you tomorrow, 7:30. More news, more politics, all of that. Bear spray, that's right. I did. Bear spray messenger. I knew I had. I couldn't think of it. I'm like, what was his nickname? Golly, we gonna have this. They're gonna hate me, especially the Democrats that I don't bang with, because I'm working on a Caesar McKnight nickname. I don't know. I don't care about Greek Freak. I don't care if he don't like me. That's fine. Because I'm digging in all them receipts. I'm digging in all that half a milli to mother-in-law. We gonna look into that. Trying to get your girl to be a judge. Whew. Yeah, we're gonna dig into that one. Greek Freak, Tim Scott. I know we call him Pumpkin Spice because he basic, but we're gonna come up with another name for Tim Scott. We're gonna come up with another one. I ain't messing with Lindsey because people be going too far left with Lindsey. We let him he already has his nickname that I don't feel comfortable calling him. So Greek Freak. Oh, because Ty Rutherford took your tax dollars and went to Greece. He took your tax dollars to Mykonos over there and was on the grand with old girl with it. He took your tax dollars over there. That's why he the Greek Freak. Yup. Sorry, Giannis. So yeah, Ty Rutherford, that's why he got that. He's a Greek freak. He over there freaking with your money over there in Mykonos, site. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.